You've heard of a fish out of water. What about a vegan in the beef capital of Australia? Motorists in Rocky have copped an eyeful of a very out-of-place billboard in the past couple of days. Animal rights organisation PETA erecting a sign claiming that eating meat kills koalas. The advertisement has a picture of a koala clinging to a tree branch, which transforms into a fork stabbing a rare slice of beef, and says bushland is being destroyed to make way for the animals you eat. Go vegan. I caught up with Amy from People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals to find out why they chose the beef capital to run this campaign.
So PETA's billboard is really just a reminder to farmers and shoppers that eating the flesh of cows, pigs and chickens kills koalas too. Hundreds of thousands of hectares of Australian bush is being destroyed to make space for farming animals, which is not just cruel to animals, but also just terrible for the environment.
Some locals haven't seemingly taken kindly to the billboard and see it as a bit of a personal attack on the main industry that props up Rockhampton. What's your message to them?
We love farmers. We acknowledge that the vast majority of our food and our clothing requires the work of farmers who grow our amazing fruit and veggies and grains and legumes and fibres like cotton and hemp. But unfortunately, when you consider that science tells us that animals feel emotions like fear and love and experience suffering and pain, and you add to that the fact that animal agriculture is one of the leading drivers of climate change, you start to realise that the system of farming animals is not only cruel, but it's just not sustainable. And we want to see government stepping up and helping farmers transition into future-proof farming systems that don't use animals.
It's a pretty provocative billboard that you have erected in Rockhampton, claiming that eating meat kills koalas. Do you know, is the billboard still up at the moment, Amy?
Yeah, it'll be up throughout June, actually.
And what's the feedback PETA has received about the billboard?
So actually we have a lot of supporters, PETA supporters in Rockhampton, who are really pleased to see some activism locally.
It's one of the biggest industries that props up that entire city, though, and the beef industry directly employs about 189,000 people in Australia. What would you suggest they do if they weren't farming at the moment, and where would we get our food from?
Look, making changes to traditions and jobs is, part of how society evolved. We're not expecting to change everything overnight. But there are some really interesting stories coming through at the moment. I don't know if you caught the BAFTA award-winning documentary 73 Cows. So Jay Wilde's the farmer who features in this award-winning documentary, and he sent his herd to live out the rest of their lives in an animal sanctuary to save them, and now produces oat milk. So it's just one example, but there are opportunities for transitioning, and as I said, we're not expecting this to happen overnight.
I mean, in terms of some of the campaigns PETA has run over the years, this one's quite tame. What is it about evoking shock and outrage that seems to play well in the campaign playbook?
It's a busy and noisy world out there, and to cut through, we have to appeal to people's sense of emotion and compassion, and we encourage people to expand their circle of compassion.
Did you just choose Rockhampton for this billboard, or is this one that's running, across different cities?
For this campaign, we're focusing exclusively on Rockhampton.
And why Rockhampton?
We're a charity, so we have, financial limitations as well, but of course it is the beef capital of Australia and land clearing capital at that.
There you go, a pretty bolshy campaign from PETA. And that was spokesperson Amy. Member for Flynn, Colin Boyce's electorate includes the southern part of the Rockhampton Regional Council area, and I know this provocative campaign has certainly caught his attention. Colin's with us live on Drive. And what was your immediate reaction, Colin Boyce, when you saw this eating meat kills koalas billboard in the middle of the beef capital?
Well, it's hypocrisy on a grand scale from people who are nothing more than activists and anarchists at that. The reality of it is that much of grazing lands and farming lands are not koala habitat at all. And for PETA to come out and make these statements is absolutely outrageous. As I've said,
is it a huge stretch, though, Colin Boyce, to be saying that the land that's been cleared for cattle production in central Queensland could have at one point housed koalas, so by virtue of the fact it has been cleared, that koalas have either died or they don't exist there where they could?
Absolutely. There has been land that has been cleared in the past, but that does not happen on large scale anymore. I would counter that what is happening right now with the renewable energy sector and these wind factories and solar factories being built all over the place in what is koala habitat on top of the range at Mount Morgan, for an example. They are doing that right now. So I would challenge PETA to launch a campaign against the renewable energy sector. But, of course, the hypocrisy of their arguments is just absolutely staggering.
So PETA says it's getting good feedback on the ground in Rockhampton from members of the community. What feedback have you gotten about this billboard?
People are beside themselves, and for me, the beef industry, the pig industry in particular, we've seen these animal activists basically harass farmers and people in the pig industry in Victoria recently. It's about time that some of these people get locked in jail for their activities, because that's what they deserve.
In this instance, all they've done is put a billboard up that's making a point. That doesn't sound like there's any illegal or criminal activity that's taken place in relation to the billboard. Are you suggesting that just the mere presence of a billboard is enough to warrant jail time?
Well, not so far as that, but this is the start. And they launch these campaigns. They deliberately target ignorant people who know no better. School children, for an example, they're in their firing line, and that's all about indoctrinating people to their thinking, which is misguided and is simply not the truth.
Hearing here from Colin Boyce, the member for Flynn. The company that owns the billboard that's featuring this advertisement is Stream Outdoor, which lists its head office as being in New South Wales, but all the sites that we can find on its website are actually regional Queensland, where it has its billboards: Cairns, Rockhampton, Mackay, Gladstone, Townsville. Have you contacted the company to ask, because apparently this billboard's staying up for a month, whether they would indeed reconsider?
That is on the agenda, absolutely. I first became aware of this yesterday. I'm at the Springshore Show in central Queensland right now as we speak, and just flew from Canberra this morning at daylight. Obviously, can't do anything about that today, but next week we will be pursuing that matter, because it's absolutely outrageous to put a sign like that in the beef capital of Australia. I would go so far as to say it is similar to Bob Brown and his entourage of people that came to the Adani coal mine some years ago and advocated that we shut down the coal industry, and it will have the same effect. Farmers and graziers throughout central Queensland in particular, around the greater Rockhampton area, this is what feeds people. They are hard-working men and women who are going about their business in a lawful way, and for people like PETA to suggest that they're killing koala bears is just absolutely outrageous.
What is your message to PETA today?
Look out, we're watching.
Colin Boyce with us. He's at the Springshore Show. We'll let you get back to the Springshore Show. Colin, thanks for your time.
Yeah, good on you. Thanks so much.
That's the member for Flynn, Colin Boyce. If you came in on the back end of that conversation, in Rockhampton, over the last couple of days, there's been a billboard on display from PETA. They're the ones that have erected it, or certainly paid for it to be put up. It's a sign claiming that eating meat kills koalas. It's got a picture of a koala clinging to a tree branch, and it transforms into a fork, stabbing a piece of beef, saying bushland is being destroyed to make way for the animals you eat. Go vegan.